Compound Mindset is sponsored by Synergy Stays. We're a revenue management optimization company for short-term rentals. If you want a short-term rental, you love the hospitality side, you're crushing it when it comes to guests, but you don't want to have to focus on the revenue side of things, or you just know that in order to stay on top of all the tips, tricks, and trends, it's just a lot of work and it's a full-time job, well, hit us up. You sound like the perfect person that can work with us, and we'd love to partner with you.
Welcome to the Compound Mindset, episode 2. This one's going to be a special one. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Liza, and we're going to be diving deep into what it's like being entrepreneurs, parents, husband, wife, and how have we not killed each other yet. So we're going to hop deep into...
Buckle up, y'all!
It's going to be a good one, but super excited. Gabby is going to be the moderator, keeping us at a good level so we don't get too crazy here. So we'll just hop right into things. I'm excited about this. So Gabby, what do you got for... By the way, Gabby put together questions, and I got to read over them quickly, but Liza did not. And
I'm a control freak, so this is going to be interesting.
Exactly. So we'll see how this goes. So, all right, let's rock and roll, Gabby. What do we got for a question?
Okay, first question. What's harder, running a business or preparing for a baby?
Definitely running a business. Babies are easy.
Well, we're expecting our second child, so it's different this go around because you feel a little bit more in control. You know what to expect. And entrepreneurship, you never know what's going to happen.
I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think running a business has way more ups and downs and hurdles. At least, like you said, the second time around. I don't know, but the first time, though. First time having a baby, it was honestly kind of a shit show. It was hard to balance everything, not get any sleep.
First time was really stressful, running a business at the same time.
And trying to be a good husband, be a good father, be a good leader. Definitely wasn't easy, but I think being intentional with time was something that helped with that. Trying to be a little bit more intentional and making sure we communicate well. The better we communicated, the better we operated. The worse we communicated, the more you hated me. So it kind of went like that, yeah.
Well, I think the first time around I was not intentional with my time, which I only realized later on because I was trying to do everything all at the same time. And I was working 2 weeks postpartum, and it was just a disaster. It was not a good idea. If anyone wants to have a deep dive on motherhood and trying to run a business at the same time, I do have a lot of learnings. So I'm taking all those learnings to round 2.
So we'll see how this one goes, yeah.
Okay, next up. Who's more dramatic under pressure, your clients or your spouse?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, house.
And she deals in PR and some crazy stuff going on all the time, and I'm more dramatic.
I don't know. We have pretty cool clients.
Yeah, I got to say, I have a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows, so I could see how I could be dramatic on certain things that pop up. But
well, I think it's just because in your business, there's so much constantly. So there are just a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, so I'm definitely the drama guy.
Okay. If your relationship was a brand, what would the tagline be?
Man.
Our relationship's a brand. Come on, you're the brand specialist. You should be able to come up with something really good. If our relationship was a brand, what would the tagline be?
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, let's just enjoy the journey. Have fun. We're going to mess up a lot. I don't know if that's a whole tagline, but yeah.
Life's got a whole paragraph, right?
Life's a shit show. Just enjoy it as you go. I don't know. Is that a good tagline? That's what it is.
Ride the high and stay grounded in the low. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one too, actually. Yeah, that's something that I don't do a good enough job at. Ride the high and stay grounded in the low. That's our tagline. Final answer.
Yeah. Okay, well Okay. What's it like living with someone who also runs their own business?
It's a lot sometimes.
Yeah, I'll go first because I know she's probably going to have a way more detailed answer.
I'm about to unload.
Honestly, our businesses are so different because I'm doing 18 million things. I'm trying to balance everything. I'm running teams. So I feel like you do a really good job of saying you work, let's just say it's, 8 to 4, you hyper-focus, you're able to get your stuff done. You don't really do a lot after hours. You're really, intentional about your time. You can stay focused a lot longer than I can. So on my level, with you as my wife, it's a lot probably easier than with me, is my guess. I'll let you go into it. But, she's just so organized. She has contracts. She knows what she has to get done that day. She has a team that work with her to get done. And then there's not a lot of stuff that rolls over. Sometimes on the weekends and nights if you have to get if you're doing something, with a reporter or something. But for the most part, she's very much, hey, this is when I work, and then this is when I spend time with family, which is amazing. So what's your answer on my end?
Well, I think we just talk about it a lot with the nature of our businesses are totally different. You'd think actually with mine, being in PR, working with media, that it is very fast paced, things are constantly changing. And so I think from an outsider's perspective, you'd think that that would mean like go, 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 nonstop, like inconsistency, which is true to a certain extent. But, you know, myself and my team, like we've been doing this for so long, we know the waves, we know how things run, and the nature of the business from a perspective of contracts and revenue and managing the team, all that stuff is relatively consistent because in the PR industry, our clients are on monthly retainers. So in terms of projecting, maintaining the business, keeping the payroll running, all those things, you know, they're on 6-month to 1-year contracts. So I, as the business owner running things, I have a lot more control, I think, which again, hi, control freak, that's me. That works very well for my personality. And because if I was dealing with daily, hourly, weekly stress, then it wouldn't be the right business for me. Like that's why I don't love crisis communications, because those types of situations are very stressful for me. So for you and your business, it's very up and down. Things are constantly changing. You're testing out new things, and it also, I mean, it bleeds well into like your personality too, because you're like, oh, I got this thing. I want to try this new thing. Let's implement this. I got to hire somebody. And I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, that's a lot for me. But I am supportive with him in doing all that. I feel like I experienced that like crazy entrepreneurship ride in terms of like being side by side with you, but it's not something that I personally can endure for myself.
And I should have said this at the very beginning, but to rewind a little bit, when I decided to be an entrepreneur in 2018, my wife worked at a company for a couple years doing PR for a business, for another company. And I remember I was a couple years in and I needed to hire someone, and I asked her, I was like, hey, do you want to come work with me and help me out? Because she wanted to get out of the rat race, U2 stuff, and dealing with employees that she hated. And she was just like, hell no. She's like, no, we would get divorced. This is not going to work. I have no interest in real estate. Like, I don't care. So, like, she became her own boss 5 years ago, right? It's your 5-year anniversary. Ran her own PR company. You could explain why you started your own PR company. I think it's really cool. She supported me on my journey. I got going. Took me a couple years. And she came back and asked me the question, do you mind if I go do my thing? And you support me? And I said 100% absolutely. And obviously she's built something amazing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned so much in running my own company and just probably just evolving as a human being and as an adult is realizing what I want and what I need and what brings me joy and what does not, and not wavering in that. And so that goes back to, you know, the 7 or so years ago when you asked me, and I knew that was not going to be a good thing for our relationship and for me, because again, don't have any interest I have a vague interest in real estate, but not in the sense of like wanting to be immersed in it every single day.
She owns more properties than I do technically on the books. So yes.
But yeah, like for that to like be what I do, like I know that I want to be passionate about what I do. And if it's like, hey, do me a favor, can you help me out with this for a little bit? That's a totally different thing. But I'm also like, when I'm in something, I am in it 100%. I'm not good at just like half-assing something or taking on a lot of different things at one time. So for that reason, it was like...
Are you saying I'm good at half-assing things? Is that basically what you're getting at? I'm a really good half-asser. That's basically what you said.
I mean, listen, we all know that when you put all your energy into one thing, that's when you're going to be
it's so true.
The most successful.
Yeah, I've been cutting up shiny object syndrome lately, and it's felt really good. Focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, fire away.
Do we ever talk shop too much at home?
No, never. I barely talk shop at home. All right, you can answer.
You go first.
I don't allow you to because I talk too much shop. You'll tell me about what's going on, like if you need help with your contracts or a situation with your employees or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll hop into your stuff, or if you have some big wins or things of that nature. But I just unload a lot, so yeah.
No, I ask you for advice a lot. I always say, like, especially in the early days, he was like my business advisor. Like before I had people working with me and it was really just me, I needed a lot of help with contracts and even like financials. Like my brain does not work well when it comes to numbers, and even just kind of strategizing about different contract renewals or like just when the pieces don't fit perfectly, like how do you make it work? And so having those strategic level conversations, you always do a really good job, even to this day, like definitely in the early days, but even to this day. So I definitely come to him with challenges and like employee relations, and if there are ever like any sticky situations, you always do good with that because he managed teams for many, many years, larger teams, and that was something that I didn't have a ton of experience in. So yeah, always been a resource to me in that regard.
But we do try to she'll let me know if I'm talking too much often.
Yeah,
so
I mean, the one
pivot.
that's needing to set the boundaries more is me for him.
Yes.
Because it's either just like on the phone checking things or just wanting to talk about stuff. And sometimes, as he said, like when it hits a certain time, like my brain is just off from that. And I very much like compartmentalize. And I'm like, okay, now we're hanging out with the family. Now we're doing this. And I like want to, catch up on what's going on with our friends and our family or whatever it is. And so I definitely have to cut you off.
Yeah,
more.
She's the boss.
All right, next step. What do you admire most about how your partner runs their business?
I'm happy to start. You have it down to, all right, you have your KPIs, you have your gross revenue you want to hit, which is going to, backtrack into your net revenue. You have the amount of the type of clients that you want. You're very specific to a certain degree. Like the business atmosphere, like you don't need to be too big, you don't want to be too small. You have like the perfect size team, and you're content in this is what I want. This is what makes me happy, and allows me to make a good amount of money, but work 6 to 8 hours a day and be able to balance life and work. So that would be mine.
With yours, I think just being really creative with your problem-solving skills. When something, again, like when the puzzle pieces don't quite fit, or you're kind of like coming across a bump in the road and you need to pivot, you like, yes, of course, we all have that moment where there's like frustration. You're like, oh, why isn't this working? Or whatever it may be. But you always come back to that with something really different and creative to like try something new or pivot, or like, hey, we have this model, but there's this other way to make money that like we're not utilizing it, and so why don't we try that? Nothing ever just feels like you've hit a wall and you're just gonna like stop and break down or start over or anything like that. It always feels like it's an evolution, like it's growing or it's changing, and that's really cool because it's never like I'm gonna give up, I'm gonna stop, like that didn't work, what now? There's never like a what now with you. It's always just like the next phase, which is cool.
I appreciate that.
Okay, how do we balance hustle with home life?
I think part of this now, because especially as we were just talking about in my business, like right now I'm hustling to build Synergy Stays. Like this is the focus, it's the hustles. I think it's communication. I go to you and I'm like, listen, I got to build this because the faster I build this, the better it is for everybody. The more predictive income comes in, the more that we can get into a little bit more stabilized as a business. I was able to go and be like, all right, for the first 5 months until the baby's born, we have a little baby boy on the way to next month. And it's like the first 5 months is straight hustle, putting the team in place, building sales, building the business and the brand so that, we're set and get the momentum rolling. So I think it's communicating and saying, hey, listen, I need time to hustle. Or another prime example is like on the weekends, we might sit down, I might say, hey, listen, we need an hour or two. I got to get some thinking done, or I got to get something done in our business. So I think communicating is the key, which almost always is the answer on a lot of these things, communicating properly so that the other person, you're setting the right expectation. And, she may say, hey, I need time Saturday morning. She may say, hey, I really want to go to bar class or yoga. Can you do it in the afternoon or the next morning? And it's just making sure that we set that so that we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the hustle question, you're definitely in more of the hustle mindset, I think. I'm trying to think why. I don't know if, again, just like the evolution of my business or just my desires. I feel like rewind to when I first started my business. Obviously, anybody who's starting business, you're not going to be successful if you're not hustling. So I was very much in that in the beginning. Even before that, the agency that I worked for when I was working, 12, 13-hour days, I feel like, and just never off. I was always on and very emotionally invested in it from a place where I wanted to be successful, but also stress. And so basically like those handful of years plus the first handful of years of my business, it was nonstop hustle. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like kind of getting to the business to a place that was consistent. And again, that falls into various reasons. Again, like the long-term contracts, having a solid team, a very consistent team that's fantastic, that's been with me for several years, having them to rely on and depend on, maybe becoming a mom too within that. and just kind of like establishing like what our next phase of our life looks like. It's all those things kind of fell into place, and just being really happy and comfortable where I'm at, that I'm very fortunate. I don't feel like I'm in that, I don't feel like I need to be in that crazy hustle phase right now. And obviously as an entrepreneur or a business owner, like there are waves of that. So of course, God forbid, if I have 3 or 4 clients that don't renew those 1-year contracts, then it's like, oh shit, looking at the numbers, like now it's time to hustle. So it does always come around, phases of it, but I don't feel like I'm in a constant state of hustle. So
yeah, because you have, like you said, you have more contractual clients. You know your numbers. I mean, me on a month basis, we look and all right, this month looks good. We got to build a pipeline every month.
yeah.
So it's a completely different thing. I have to continue to hustle to bring in the money, whereas you just kind of have that steady drip coming in, which definitely helps.
Yeah, and I mean, we could go on a whole nother tangent, but for us as two entrepreneurs with financial incomes into one household, that is amazing, I think, for us, because if we didn't have that one sort of consistent person, that would be stressful as hell. And like, listen, people do it, and that's amazing. And again, I'm the control freak. Like, you would probably be fine, but that would be very stressful for me when it's like, yes, we have several mortgages, we're about to have a second child, we just wanted to do as a choice, like we wanted to do this renovations and build out our shed into a studio unit, like these things that all cost money, like we all know the price of groceries, things are not cheap nowadays. So, it works well for us that, I can have all the bills and everything on auto pay on, from my income, and then your stuff can be like put away into the savings and set aside for different projects.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that. I think that's a secret sauce. If you can find a power partner where one pays the bills, keep your bills at whatever it is, that one can pay the bills like you do, and we live a very good lifestyle, you take care of the bills, and all my money goes just into building the future and investing and maybe some travel. Like, it's a really good balance. And it took, 40 years of my life to hit that. So it's not like it happens overnight, but if that would be the one thing I would say. Anybody who has you're both entrepreneurs, both business owners, or one is and one isn't, like, figure out a way that as fast as possible, get one to be able to pay all the bills. Again, live below your means if you have to, and get the other one just pumping money into investing. Because not all investments work. I lose a little bit of money here. You win 90% of them, but there's still some setbacks. I think that's important.
Okay. What are we nervous or excited about from 1 kid to 2 while still running businesses?
All right, I travel a decent amount for my business. So like I'm Legacy Family. I'm gone usually 3 times a year, part of DM Alliance, so 1 or 2 times a year. And then I short-term rental conferences to try to grow that brand. So at the end of the day, and then I usually have a guy's trip. You usually have a girl's trip once a year. So I'm traveling at least 6 to 8 to 10 times a year. And having the 1 kid at home, especially being 3.5, I don't feel as bad if I'm like, hey, Liza, she knows I schedule them out ahead of time. We obviously talk through it again, communicate and say, hey, here's the months I'm traveling in. Here's what's going on. Are you cool with it? Are there any issues? And we try to game plan that. Now I'm going to have more of an issue with leaving and you have a baby and a 3.5-year-old without support. So like that's probably, and that may sound a little selfish, but that's probably my biggest struggle is like now, like if it's just you and Naya, I'm fine. Like you girls connect, she basically could take care of herself in a lot of ways.
Well, I don't know about that, but
no, but like, I mean, she brushes her own teeth now, she wipes her own ass. Like, it's really cool, but like the point is, I didn't feel now when you have 2 kids, it's just a little bit more, obviously when we're together, it's nice. You have one-on-one, you can each kind of help each other out, but that's probably my biggest, whatever the question was, my biggest concern or my biggest worry.
Yeah. What about excited?
Oh, the excited part is to be able to kind of see the difference between a daddy's girl and a son and, that different dynamic. And I'm also really excited to see how, I think Naya's going to be a really good big sister. So I'm excited to see how good a big sister she is with Nico, or if she's just like, shoving him in the closet trying to get rid of him. I don't know. We'll see. But I think she's going to be a good big sister. How about yours?
Yeah, so excited, I'd say that, just like watching the dynamic between them, and hopefully it doesn't like take a turn and go horribly wrong, which is possible. But I'm really excited about that, just because our daughter is so sweet and kind, and so just kind of having that dynamic. And then in terms of worry, I guess I put a lot of pressure on myself with like a lot of things, and so my worry is making sure that we can still build a life that we want and it doesn't get like derailed by having a second child, in the sense of obviously like travel is important to us. And so like my Instagram feed is filled with like these like these like nomad lifestyles and like people who travel with their families and work abroad. And so to me, like, it sounds dorky, but that empowers me, because anytime I'm like stressed, I'm like, well, how are you going to travel with like 2 kids and still do your job and all these things? But to me, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to like consume content, that's the content I want to consume, because it's all these people being like, oh, I traveled with my newborn and like, here's how I did it. Yeah. And it makes me feel confident. Oh, I can do that. Like, why do I need to stress about that? So it's things like that where I'm like, I know we want to travel. Let's make sure we still take the steps. And again, it does feel better second time around, just being more confident. But so I think just the stress of still being able to maintain everything that I know brings us joy, and to create the life that we want to live in a way that we don't like put things on pause because we have a new child to take care of.
Yeah, we're not gonna. I mean, we already booked Portugal for December, so we're all in.
Yeah.
And see how this goes.
Yeah.
Any lessons we've learned from our daughter that changed how we lead?
She has definitely helped me become more patient. I still need to work at it, but she's definitely helped me become more patient. And especially, like, she'll call you out if she now has her new things, like, you hurt my feelings. My feelings are hurt. And it could be the smallest thing, like maybe I was like overreacted, or it could just be I said no to a cupcake, but she's going to play that card. But she definitely has helped me just reassess, be a little bit more patient, really listen and understand her needs. And even I'll give you an example, like the other day, she was just, thank God we're having a son, 'cause I don't know that I can have 3 women like this, but she was irregulated emotionally pretty bad.
You're going to get some haters from that comment, by the way.
No, honestly, I would have loved 2 daughters too, so you know me, right away, I was like...
They're emotionally unregulated.
Oh, they're emotionally... No, but she was.
Emotionally unregulated.
No, but she was. She was emotionally... you could admit, she was emotionally unregulated the other day, and she was just like up and down. So I was like, you want a hug? And I gave her like a big hug, and it just seemed to like settle in, and she was... just better afterwards. All she needed was that hug. So like little things like that, it's taught me just to kind of pick up on that rather than being like, oh, she's just being a kid or whatever the case is, realizing that she just needed maybe just a hug, just to kind of, because kids need that. They don't know how to regulate their emotions, so they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. I don't know, things like that. It's like helped me just, I don't want to say the word empathetic, that's probably not it, but it's more of understanding her needs and, like I said, patience and yeah.
Well, it's made you more, having a child has made you more empathetic in general, because you used to say you were not a very empathetic person.
I'm still not.
At all.
I'm just with
period.
Kids or people who can't control stuff get my empathy, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
She's definitely... But
then even like that year where you were like, my word is vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Which I'm saying in that voice, but I love it. But I was annoyed because I was like, I've been trying to get you to be more vulnerable for a decade. And he's like, I've decided I'm going to be more vulnerable this year. I'm like, really? Because I've been waiting.
You could have asked. I don't remember you ever asking.
So now he's more vulnerable.
Yes.
And empathetic.
What about you? What you don't be?
I think just not taking things as seriously. Like when she started turning the like, oh, it happens sometimes. We would always joke around because it's like she would trip or like, she would drop something, and we'd always be like, oh, it's okay, maybe it happens sometimes. And then she would start like doing things on purpose, and we'd get mad, and she'd be like, oh, it's okay, mommy, it happes sometimes. And I'm like, well, it doesn't quite work in that context. But it's things, but still, even to this day, like, I'll get frustrated with something, and she'll we'll drop something, or we'll make a mess, and she'll be like, it's okay, mommy, it happens sometimes. And then I'm like, you know what? She's right. Like, it's really not important. Whatever it was, we spilled whatever we spilled, and so I try to kind of take that into work. Like, yes, things may seem intense in that moment, but 2 hours later or the next day, whatever it is, you're going to be like, that was just another day of dealing with what we had to deal with, and no one's going to remember that.
Yeah, and Lisa's not good with, our daughter comes home filthy every day, and you've had to learn to just be okay with that. Filthy.
Which is...
But it means she's had a great day.
Yeah.
The dirtier she is, the happier she is.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, you go through these phases in your life, because I used to, when I was, I don't know, frolicking around, even in like my 20s, I'd be like, it's a good day when like your feet are dirty. Like, I genuinely used to say that all the time, because I would love to just walk around and, have a good day frolicking outside in nature. And now, for whatever reason, she comes home filthy, and I'm like, oh my God, why? Because I was that same way even when I was a young adult.
And I'm the one who's saying, just It's okay. She had fun. She had fun
It's
today.
probably just because I'm like endlessly doing laundry.
It's okay. It happens sometimes, Mom.
All right. Who is more organized?
Oh, definitely.
Hands down. Hands down.
Yeah. That's a no-brainer.
Gabby could probably jump in on this one too, because
That's literally what I asked Abby when I hired her. Gabby, I'm not organized. Please keep me organized. So,
he's
so definitely.
horrible.
Horrible. I don't like it.
That is like the bottom of like the traits that he's fantastic at to the bottom. Like organization is literally the last one.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Yeah. No, and it. But I do give you crap because you know how you always say you're like, well, you could be good at something if you tried. Like people are like, I'm not good at math. Me, you're like, well, but if you took the time to learn and really focus on it, like you can get good at anything that you want. So in theory, if you,
I gotta tell you, I actually used to be very organized. When I was in property management, the first day they gave me 16 properties, 500 units to like manage all these. I forced myself to become organized, but it's literally a ton of brain power for me to be organized.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want that brain power, as you mentioned before. My superpower is the adaptability to be able to adjust and see things. So if I'm using all my brain power to stay organized, I'm literally taking away from my superpower to be able to do things. So that's the only reason. But I can be organized. It just takes a lot.
well, I will give you some like outs here though, because I mean, in your world, even like managing a project, like all the things I hear you talk about, like you know, just with the contract, and even us doing it now ourselves with like our shed conversion. It's like obviously you got the contractor, but then you got the plumber, you got the electric, you got to order all the things. The timing has to work out for everything. And I'm just like, oh my God, there are a million moving pieces. And even if it was for me, I'd be like, yes, I'd have a spreadsheet. I'd do all the things. And if I was 100% invested in that, if I didn't have a job, if I didn't have a parent, I'd be like, yes, I could 100% be successful in that. But that's just one of a million other things you have to do. And that one thing has a million things in that one like project. So it is a lot, and I think it takes a special person to be able to be organized within your world of real estate. And to your point, you shouldn't spend your time doing that because that's going to waste all of your time. So,
and it's not the highest and best use of my time.
Yeah.
I think we know the answer to this one, but who actually shuts off work at the end of the day?
Well, it depends on when the end of the day is, because
Let's hear this one, y'all.
Because I do a really good job of shutting off work around 7 o'clock when I get my glass of wine. So at that point, my phone goes away, it goes to the side, and I'm good. Up until that point, you shut off work better than I do. You don't agree? Usually by 7 o'clock, unless there's a deal being negotiated or my team needs support, I'm pretty good about shutting down around, by 7. It's just that 3 to 7 window could be absolutely nuts for me.
That's your craziest window.
Yeah, all of a sudden it'll be a call. And it's like no one called you all day. But she's obviously better at it.
And the weekends are kind of like all over the place. Some weekends it's like nonstop. It depends what you have going on, which could be different.
Depends on what's in my headspace.
Any given week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your headspace too is a big part of it, because if you just have a lot going on in your mind, then you need to talk about it, and you need to create the space for that. Whereas if you're not, then you're not. Then it's like shut off.
Then I can shut off. Yeah. But just like most things, she's better at it. Yes.
What's something small we do for each other that makes a big difference?
Put my recycling in the recycling bin?
Every couple has the things that drive them nuts. Mine is like, he has a spin drift and just leaves the empty can just right there on the counter when the recycling bin is like right over there. So that's why he's saying that.
So something small. Yeah, do you have one besides a recycling can?
No, I think that you are really conscious about making sure that I can have like some alone time, like on the weekends. I mean, you do it because you enjoy it too, but when you're like daddy daughter, like, coffee shop, like mornings.
I like doing that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I think you also do it for the reason of like take an hour or two to yourself, and I'll go like do a bar class or just sit and read my book or whatever it may be for a little bit. So I think just the fact that you're so conscious of that is really nice.
And I would say for you, I think it's understanding, kind of seeing in my headspace, understanding when you need to, like, I need time or space, or kind of separate of that. Like sometimes I'm just in my head and I'm just not operating well. You can read that and you take care of the baby and you take her out there and let me kind of get myself
emotionally regulated.
Yeah, regulated. I give myself a hug. I emotionally regulate. And then I'm back in so that I'm not, because, no, I think that's important, because if you're not understanding that and you're forcing me to try to like, hey, just be happy or be fine, like spend time with the baby, like I'm not, it's just going to make it worse. Whereas you see when I need that, and you might even say something, and then I just take my time to that, and then I can be more present.
Yeah.
shortly afterward. So.
I think like another one that we've talked about before, and I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs talk about this too, is learning for both of us, like learning when the person either wants to vent or like is looking for a solution. I think we've both done a really good job adapting to that with the other person of like, you know, when something's on your mind, it's stressing you out, and it's like, do you just want a listening ear, or are you looking for like help on how to solve this? And I think that's a great tip for just, again, even if it's not entrepreneurship, just any marriage or relationship whatsoever, because I think that's just what we need sometimes emotionally.
Because we're always, as guys, we always want to fix.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, that's
and
just
most
common.
women just want someone to hear something, and like it'll go vice versa sometimes, but
You know,
it's,
but it
it's
is
probably
usually
more
women.
of you saying, it is more of you saying, don't try to fix, just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, then because
Yeah, it's like I just want to get it out. You just want a listening ear, and I mean that's why women have like these amazing bonds with their girlfriends because like we just all get it. Like we could just sit there for hours and just like unload and like cry and laugh and all these things, and so that gets really challenging when you go to your partner. And I don't want to generalize, but like from my life, from people around me, like this is the general sense that I understand. There are obviously different dynamics, but
I cry with my friends.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Talk it out, cry, hug it out.
I'm sure, yeah. No, but
that's
then you
exactly
go
what
to
guys
your
do.
partner and you like want that same thing. You're like, no, I'm just trying to vent, and
It's hard.
the man typically is like, well, then why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And you're like, that is not what I need right now. Like, I don't need to hear that. And so I think there were a lot of times early on where it would just like blow up and it would not go well because it's fix it. And then like that would not, check the box for what I need in that moment. And then you just grow. Like either the person grows and says, okay, you want to, do you just want me to listen? Or the other times you say, okay, I'm going to go to my girlfriend for this.
Yeah.
So it's like finding, you just have to figure out the solution that's going to
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes I'll tell her, I'll be like, you're probably going to, I'm just not in the headspace. Probably better off calling your friend EJ or something and just getting off your chest. Because I'm not going to do a good job of what you need right now. Yeah. So it's just communicating that.
growth.
Who will be the cool parent?
You know you're going to be the disciplinarian. You're the
See,
Russian. You're like, this is what's got to go. That's it.
Yes and no. Like you say that, but you are also, for how anxious I can be like in life, he is an anxious parent. Like I am the opposite, I feel like, compared to you in that realm, which is so surprising and weird.
Give me an example.
Like when we're walking on the dock and like you won't let her take 3 steps without being right
That's
next
like an
to you.
8-foot drop into pluff mud. Yes. She has to be right next to me. I think most dads agree.
Like anything related to our daughter, it's like super anxious. Needs to have eyes on her at all times. Like in the yard. Like she's playing in the backyard, like I go inside for a minute and I knew she's 3.5. She's not like a baby. And it's like, well, where is she? What is she doing? I'm like, she's right there. She's on the swing. So I'm definitely more like loose, I think, on the parenting side.
But then when it comes down to putting the kibosh on something, I don't know. I guess we both kind of.
Oh, I have a firm line. Oh, yeah, I don't deal with BS. And yes, it was the Russian upbringing. That's just like, not going to deal with any bullshit.
Yeah.
I can like cut myself off emotionally when it comes to like discipline or what I feel like is best for her, whether I'm right or wrong. But if it's just needing to be really strict with bedtime or things like that, I'm just not. I, for whatever reason, don't get as emotionally attached.
Yeah, I'd say sometimes I could be like that, but for the most part, Naya wins. She gets my heart.
So in terms of fun, I think it goes both ways. Depends on the scenario.
Naya.
Yeah, exactly. We got to ask her, who was the cool one? Hopefully the answer is both of us.
If Naya had to run one of your businesses for a day, which would she survive?
I don't know. I feel like she's got like my ADHD all over the place kind of mentality. I think I can throw her in mine. You know that. Like she can't pay attention for more than about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's true.
So she may be able to.
I know. I always wonder. I'm like, is that just a child or is that like our child? You know, we have no context.
You're right. It could be all kids.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. What would you? I mean, she's 3.5, so it's really.
I know. I think it's too soon to say. But yeah, with that.
She always does ask to go to work with Daddy.
Because she knows your like office.
Yeah, she knows
now, so she.
She knows there's a golf simulator and stuff, so she wants to go watch a movie on the big screen. But yeah, I don't know. Ask us again in a couple years, and we'll be able to really know what she's into. Yeah.
This is our final question.
Okay.
One piece of advice we'd give to other couples looking to build both businesses and a family.
You go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say communication and listening, not just hearing. like making sure truly communicate expectations, especially I know a lot of husband and wives or couples, whatever, are in the same business. That's going to be even different. Obviously, we're not. We said that earlier. Why not? But that's going to be even completely different, turning it off and turning it on and making sure you stay separated. But I can only give the advice from what the shared experiences here. Just communicating expectations, letting them know kind of what's going on so that like if you're off or if you're on, they understand what's going on in your business. Financially, just relaying, hey, we're okay, or if there's any issues and stuff, just being straightforward with them. But communicating, really listening, and then being intentional, which again, I'm working at. That's one thing I'm definitely not great at, but being just more and more intentional with time. That'd be mine.
Yeah, I mean, again, just with any like relationship too, you're 1-2 years in, you're still figuring each other out. There's so much learning. And I think when you reflect back, like you do things so differently years down the line. And I think that bears true for, again, a relationship of entrepreneurs who are trying to grow a family. Like, I guess I'm just give yourself grace. Like I'm trying to sum it up of like give yourself grace, I think, and be patient because it's not easy, and especially in the beginning days. I mean, there's a lot of stress, a lot of emotions, and you just want things to work out and be perfect because you love each other and you love your businesses and you love everything you have going on in your life, but making it all work together is extremely difficult, and it takes a lot of time and figuring out each other, like of what you need in different scenarios. And so we've been together for 10 years, we've been running our businesses for 5 years, so it's like that's a lot of hours put into like things growing together. So I guess to sum it up of like, yes, I agree with everything that you said, communication and being patient and vocalizing. Like I love that we do our goals every year, and we do all of our goals, our business, our family goals, our life and travel goals, our health goals. And so we talk about those with each other because having them down on paper and making sure we're all like kind of so important. So it's all of those things. And then again, my final is like, give yourself grace and time because it's not going to happen immediately, and that's okay. But once you kind of figure out your groove, then that's just like the start of the beautiful future together.
Honestly, it's fun. I will say it's fun having someone that supports you and is like you can grow together and do big things together. And I mean, whether you're an entrepreneur and your spouse isn't an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur, works with you, does their own thing, no matter what the case is, whatever they do in life, I think supporting each other and helping them grow and be better people, I think that's the number one focus. Obviously, as both entrepreneurs, we do that it's just in our nature. But I think that's like truly like I could not be as successful as I am today if it wasn't for her. And I don't know, I think that's just huge. Like having someone by your side that can help you grow is probably one of the most important things that you, no matter what hurdles you go through, that you just realize, hey, I'm better with you if we do this together. So let's communicate it. Let's work past issues so we can hit that. But I appreciate it. I hope this one was a good one for everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. We got real. We got raw.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Anything else you want to relay?
No, we don't have all the answers, but we're here if anybody's looking for, I don't know, advice or wants to talk or anything. But
we got baby number 2 on the way, so we'll see how that throws a curveball in everything.
We'll have to do this again like 2 years from now.
We might have completely different advice with 2 kids. I have no clue or shared experiences.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope it was a good one for you guys.
All right.
Cheers.